So when you speak about the first unit is dedicated on the concept of race. And when you think about race itself is a concept, but it is used in various sense, even by human biologists, politicians, historians. If you go on exploring the origin of this concept race and how it has been utilized, its a journey is not the way we used to understood in anthropology. Here we are going to discuss only the anthropological concept of race, and or you can say biological concept of race, which validity has been also questioned in the post-genomic era in 21st century. But try to understand all human living different means say today living belongs to a single species, Homo sapiens, and which includes different groups or populations, each differ from others population in relative commonness of certain hereditary traits, and each of these population constitute the species Homo sapiens may be regarded as a race. So there is today, if you examine, we all belongs to the same species, Homo sapiens sapien or Homo sapiens, and we belong to a single race. And whatever variations that is found within and between groups, okay, it has a long journey. Uh, as far as the concept of race is concerned, and as far as the criteria used for racial classification and how race is formed. So very commonly we know that actually there are groups of people who has been uh, from their origin to the present place of their uh, you can say uh, where they are located. For example, Anglo Indians. Okay, one group it is because of admixture of Europeans and Indians. So similarly, admixture or hybridization is one of the factor, or you can say migration is one of the factor, isolation is one of the factor. Okay, race formation and major races of the world like the Europeans, the Caucasides, Mongoloid, and Negroid. There are characteristics which are actually so. When you think about this particular study of a human race, it itself is a branch of science itself, and the particularly here in this block under biological diversity, we are primarily going to study the typhi and classification of human races, and to find out how these races were developed to analyze the role of biological and environmental factors in the development and other related problems or issues. Okay, so accordingly, the block biological diversity has been designed. So first, it is has been dedicated to the concept of race, how it is utilized in the field of anthropology, and there are lots of ups and downs. Race concept in 19th century and beyond, and 20th century, and today in 21st century. Before genetics, you can say, and after the arrival of the concept of gene and genetics in the beginning of 20th century, 1900, and then on 1900 onwards, and in 21st century, in the post-genomic era, the nature notion of the concept of race has passes through various stages. Okay. Similarly, the second block, and you will find that what is the role of UNESCO as far as the concept of race. UNESCO has its statement about the concept of race. Then second is the characteristics of different races, how these racial criteria, or you can say biological characteristics or heritable biological characteristics were considered and utilized as far as the classification is concerned. So the basis of racial classification will be in unit 3, and then finally racial classification. When you speak about racial classification, you can think about the global population as well as local population. Like Indian context, you can see the uh, you can say classification of human beings in humans. So it is when you think about racial classification, you can say that the physical differences or morphological differences that we come across all over the world, how will it means consider the criteria and how this criteria will be utilized for classification. Okay, so many scientists, you know that actually uh, the varieties of mankind were written by you can say that Frederick Blumenbach, a German scholar. Similarly, Carolus Linnaeus, also uh, means he used consider certain criteria for classification of mankind. Similarly, prior to them, Immanuel Kant also Races of Mankind. These books, so you will find this started in 16th, 17th century till today. You will find that it has passed the various stages, but the most difficult phase is that Second World War, the Nazi Holocaust. Okay, so but broadly we will find that there are three major races of the world, that is Caucasoid, Mongoloid, and Negroid, that is used in anthropology purely for academic purpose. That has nothing to do with the debate historians, politicians, even other biologists. They normally consider the concept of race. Okay. Now, coming to your first unit, which is primarily, you can say, dedicated for the development of the concept of race. So, initially, when you see uh, the concept of race grew out of the Europeans' observation on other populations. So, they primarily collected information on physical traits, and then when genetics comes in 20th century, so they consider those traits which are following simple Mendelian principles. So accordingly the concept of race, and 20th century that biological basis of mankind, and we are all same, we are not different, we belong to the same species, homo sapiens. Okay, now coming to the first systematic, you will find that Houghton, Asli Montague, these are the scholar Dostoevsky. So these are some of the, these are the very leading authority as far as this concept of race. And in one hand you will find that also this statement about race. So in 1926, it is defined by Houghton, a great division of mankind, the member of which, though individually varying, are characterized as a group within a certain combination of morphological and metrical features, primarily non-adaptive, which have been derived from their common descent. And it is actually very broad definition, and very, you can say that the concept of gene genetics was just established, it was rediscovered. You have a population genetics. Okay, so it is based on morphological and metrical characteristics that makes intra and inter variation with respect to population and community. 1942, Osliman, one of the leading authority in this field, defined race or ethnic groups as a representative number of people under species Homo sapiens, which individually maintain their differences, physical and cultural, by means of isolating mechanisms such as geographical and social barriers. So here you will find that in this concept actually definitions, he has incorporated used the same term race and ethnic groups synonymously. So that also because he is a author who actually is a scholar who uh, primarily not giving much emphasis or is rejected the biological basis of division of mankind. Similarly, Darwin is one of the leading authority of evolutionary science or evolutionary biology. In 1944, he defines race as defined as a population differing in the incidence of certain genes capable of exchanging genes across boundaries that separate them. So it is based on gene frequencies or characteristics which are means their distribution on the basis of their uh, means how many times, means how frequent they are with respect to that particular problem. And so dark skin color, or you can say different types of morphological characteristics we will going to discuss gradually. Similar 1950s Boyd defines human race as a population which differs significantly from other populations with regard to frequency of one or more genes in the it possesses. Gran, Kuhn, Kahn, and Britzel. Gran is one of the authorities. 1960s race is a breeding population, partially isolated, reproductive from other population, arising commonly but not exclusively from geographic isolation. So you will find that the Parsis settled in India, the Portuguese who left after Vasco da Gama left, but that their population is still there in Goa, and you will find, and also you will find evidences from people who have come from Egypt and in some part of South India they are there. So you will find that it is defined in that way actually as far as Gans definition of 1960s concerned. Then Hall says in 1963 stated that race are population which can be readily distinguished from one another on genetic basis alone. So similarly, Botner and Jansus actually defined race as a Mendelian population separate from another by major geographical barriers like breeding isolate a population distinguished from another by demonstration of differences in allele frequencies. So the interpretation of you can say later phase of 20th century is primarily based on gene and its frequency, means character based on you can say Mendelian characteristics, which are inherited characteristics, and date distribution with you can take a best example is the distribution of population on the basis of ABO typing, ABO RH, different blood typings with respect to populations. So the distribution of blood typing in Mongoloid, Caucasoid, and Negroid are various characteristics. Okay. Similarly, uh, you can say that race is a subspecies, is a distinct evolutionary lineage within a species that genetically differentiate due to barriers from genetic exchange that have persisted for a long period. The subspecies must have a historical continuum in addition to current genetic differentiation. So this happened till 20th century. But I told you that we have a very big project in the field of biological science that is known as a Human Genome Project, started in 1990, and we are having the complete draft by 2001 and 2003. And that actually give us our this genetic basis. We are all belong to the same species, and we do not have much difference. 99.99% we are same. Only 0.01% that is the difference. That's why I told you that the basic purpose of this understanding the concept of race or racial study in anthropology, the role of biological and environmental factors in the development and the related problems. Okay, it is nothing to with the racism. It has nothing to with the your history. Nothing to with the politics. Okay, so diverse as they are, these definitions emphasizes first an assumption of the role of geographical isolation in race formation. Second, most agree on the importance of breeding population in the form of a collection of genes that set a race apart. So you have to understand what is a breeding population, what is a geographical isolation, what is a Mendelian population. Okay, so similarly, when you talk about the history of classification of these races, I have told you that primarily focus is given on the you can say external morphological features, then skeletal features as adapted by you can say Friedrich Blumenbach. Okay, Friedrich Blumenbach has developed the craniology, craniometry, classified the people, and he used the term Caucasoid. Caucasoid means the most beautiful. They have descended from the Caucasus mountain, and these are all based on the basic premises of polygenesis and monogenesis, because they come in contact with peoples like Africans, Asians, and so they when they want to place themselves or they want to differentiate themselves from others, they thought that either have a single origin or multiple origin, and the other people they are lesser humans. That was the notion actually deep rooted with these two premises, monogenesis and polygenesis. Okay, so in your yearly racial classification, as I've told that actually it is based on the Europeans' exploration, the world naturalist or the writers published description of the people who looked and act differently. Okay, and natural beings. Carlos Linnaeus, the great classifier, placed the human being at the top of the chain of the nature in the classification along with the primates. So he is the first author. It is 1735 in his book separate I mean system of nature, separate human into four varieties. So initially the term race was not used. Stocks, breeds, varieties, these are the terms primarily used in anthropological writings or in racial science. Okay, and there Carlos Linnaeus classified people on the Americans, Europeans, Asian, and Africans. So, similarly, Blumenbach actually in 1795 classified humans by taking cranial features as Caucasoid, Mongolian, Ethiopian, American, Malayans. So both Linnaeus and Blumenbach, Linnaeus classification, who is a great authority as far as taxonomy is concerned, 1735, followed by Blumenbach, who is considered the one of the leading authority in the field of physical anthropology, is known for his development of this craniology, and you can say brain box. Okay, he understood the internal structures. There he found most beautiful cranium, that is Caucasoid mountain and Caucasus the people. Okay, so but both of them are having the limitation that they are strong believer or staunch believer of existential existence creationism, existence of God, everything is fixed. That is the belief prevailed during that time period in the entire Europe. And then during 19th century, you will find that we have index that is developed with respect to the cranium or dry crania, that is the cephalic index, CI, head breadth divided by head length, urine to urine, glabella to opistocranium. These are the landmark, and multiplied by 100. So, and whatever 74.9 less, it is oligocephalic. If it is 75 to 79.9, it is metacephalic, and if it is brachiocephalic, it is the cranial index is more than 8. So they classified people, Caucasoid, Mongolian, Negroid, and others on the basis of these values, how much they have uh, actually acquired. Now, typological anatomic during during so you will find that anatomy during the late 19th century encouraged and the continued use of a typological approach in anthropology during 20th century. So you'll find that there is a shift from in the understanding or classifying or typifying the uh, human populations on the basis of morphological, then metrical characteristics, then the environment of gene. So new methods of quantitative analysis were developed, and the typological paradigm continued, and changing little in the way the anthropological studies human variation and classification of race. So metrical uh, and morphological traits used in the analysis and classification were thought to be stable and eventually non-adaptive. The trait and the classification, you have to understand what is a adaptive and non-adaptive traits. Adaptive traits are mostly stable and non-modification. Okay, so non-adaptive traits are non-modification. So Eugene Kuhn in 1950s distinguished six groups of mankind named Negroid, Mongoloid, White, Australoids, American Indians, and Polynesians. Okay, so Kuhn's classification and the origin of races, published in 1960 by Kuhn. Okay, and Kuhn's main hypothesis was that modern human Homo sapiens were arose through five separate lineages from Homo erectus into Caucasoid, Mongoloid, Australoid, and Cognoid Copoid. Okay, so you will, those who have actually understood evolution, there are two postulations. One is multi-regional model and out of Africa model, and in the multi-regional models, that speaks that there is independent means the Homo erectus in Europe, Africa, and Asia gradually give rise to different types of humans. Okay, so this is one of the similarly lesser subdivision of continental and northwestern. So you will find that Grant proposed there were three levels of racial group: geographical race, local race, and so in 19th century, a number of natural scientists and anthropologists opined that race are objective, naturally occurring division of humanity with a strong relations with the biological race and human social behavior and culture. Races were distinguished by skin colors, face types, cranial profile, stature, and texture, and the color of hair that were considered to be reflect group of difference in more character and intelligence. So geographical races, local races. So this is the concept used by Gran. Okay, Kuhn, Gran, and Britzel. These are three authorities in the. So advances of Darwin model of evolution and Mendelian genetics in the beginning of the 20th century questioned the scientific validity of the characteristic used as a racial criteria and necessitated a radical reconsideration of the concept of race. So the important aspect is that actually uh, when genetics arrival of Mendel's law in 1900, rediscovery of Mendel's law followed by population genetics, concept of gene and gens genetics by Johnson Madsen, and then population genetics by Hadi Virenbox, and then subsequent discovery of abio blood typing by Landsteiner. Okay, so genetic classification of race has is you will find that a different type of you can say it strengthened the understanding, because they never question the biological basis. They are sure that there is a biological basis of racial classification, and they have adopted this genetic data, particularly ABO blood typing, as far as using ABO blood group data and the racial index of Hesfield and Hesfield 1919. Wattenberg suggests that there were only six major types of humans. Okay, and these are the classifications you will come across in your material. Racial classification based on the early genetic data, primarily based on serological, particularly ABO blood typing, MN, RH, various type of, and a secretor, ABH secretor, and this classification actually given. And then Boyd has classified humans, particularly early European, African, Negroes, Asiatic Mongoloids, American Indians, Australoid. Okay, then he has improvised his classification into early European Slavs. Okay, and but when you just see from the, you can say, 18th century, 19th century, uh, without genetics it moves, and after beginning of the 20th century, the greatest impact of the Darwinian evolutionary idea or modern synthetic theories, as well as Mendel's principle. And modern thought on race, when you think about the ethnic groups, so the real issue started today. When you look at this concept of race, so people are now using synonymously with the ethnic groups. Okay, you will see that Julian Huxley Montagu. So, in the first half of the 20th century, while racial classification continued to be generated, a few anthropologists such as Huxley Montagu and biologists such as Julian Huxley opined that it was difficult to use zoological nomenclature for classifying human into groups. They argued that the classification of human into races was simply not a productive endeavor to examine how human variation. So Montagu was probably the most vocal opponents of the use of the term race to classify humans. This is very important. He is the first anthropologist who is very open and come. There is no biological basis of mankind. So Montagu adopted the term ethnic groups as a replacement in his definition, and everywhere you will find that he is the first authority. The opposition starts in anthropology first. There is no biological basis of race, and subsequently, in World War II, UNESCO issued a statement which is include both scientific opposition up to race theories and moral condemnation of racism, thus suggested to replace the term race as ethnic groups. So this is the situation after Second World War. Why UNESCO has interfered? Because the Nazi Holocaust, the that everybody knows that the way they treated the Jews, and by under the regime of Hitler, so that actually brought a new type of impact on our understanding or classifying or human biological diversity studies, you can say. So people are strongly come openly to reject the concept of race. So Montagu noted that there were no clear boundaries in the continuous stream of human variation and argued that anthropology should consider Darwinian natural selection to understand the relationship among human groups and develop a dynamic genetic theory of race using concepts such as exogamy, endogamy, hybridization, mutation, selection, isolation, random genetic. These are the criteria used for how a race is formed. It is not like that you will see black, white. Okay, so I think that whatever I am narrating you, please anyone can respond it. Is it, are you getting whatever I am speaking to you? So Gani has raised a question that what is the Metrical, yes, metrical future and external future, I think that is it. Yes, please. Yes, if you have any problem, please, you can. Who has raised that hand? Metric means you just see within anthropology. First, physical anthropology means it is observable trait. Skin color you cannot measure. Okay, at that time, but height, weight, these metric anthropometric rod device were developed. So in anthropology, external features and metric features were developed in course of time, and that was tremendously utilized in today when you see your television advertisement how to reduce your body weight, increase your height, all are the product, and you are using various standards. We are wearing where we can say we are means procuring various type of equipments, dress and everything. It is based on that metric, the output of anthropology. That is broadly, that is one of the major classic branch of anthropology. So you can say also ergonomics also in designing equipments, that is also utilized. Okay, so do you have any questions or any issue relating to this that I have discussed till now? Sugani, you have read the question. Are you got it to what? Okay, now actually the real was born in 1951. Many people are critical and about the concept of race because of Nazi Holocaust, because Hitler believed that actually in Germany blue color eye and skin color and everything extra talent, and he want to eliminate the Jews. Okay, it is not only confined to Germany only. Every civilization, and you can study the, you will find that those who rule, they think that they are the supreme creatures and others are rest are the lesser humans actually. That way you can understand. So scientific racism as in crisis, he suggested that the physical anthropology should change their prospective goal and approach. So he introduced, Seward Osborne introduced the new concept of new physical anthropology and focuses on the mechanism of evolution and change and adopts a dynamic perspective. Earlier, base of description and the speculative methods were replaced with an emphasis on problem and test. So what was one come with new physical anthropology? It is more explanatory than descriptive. Okay, so some anthropologists were also proposing that population or breeding unit should be the basic unit of study of human diversity and adaptation, subject to specific environmental consideration and response through the environmental mechanism of mutation, gene flow, genetic drift, natural um, selection. So these are the agents of change. When you think about, let us population X at a time t1 will remain same at a time t2, then you will say that actually there is no, whatever evolutionary force or operation are in continuum. But if there is a change, positive or negative, you will see that what evolutionary force is operation in that particular population. So people, particularly this is the way anthropology as a discipline moves, and also you can say um, they actually improve the concept of their understanding about the biological diversity of mankind. Okay, and today also we will see that actually I have already told in my previous lectures that whenever there is a pandemic comes, like at you can say exactly after 100 years we experience COVID, and when you see COVID with respect to mortality and morbidity and is associated with a specific blood type, or you will find that it's very unique. Okay, some you can say blood type that favor means that leads to that the number of instances of death cases are very high. So some studies shows that actually with respect to population also you will find variation. So it is, you can say, what means how this evolutionary forces shape a population. So next is that The non-existence of the race decline. Actually, Livingstone, in his article on the non-existence of human race, pointed out that the static typological notion of race was simply not compatible with the dynamic concept of natural selection. So he did not deny the difference among population, but argued that this difference did not match races. As an alternative to this static population, he suggested that research should be focused on geographical variation of a single trait, or what he called clinal variation. In other words, there are no race. There were only clients. If the goal of anthropological research was to explain the genetic variation among population, then racial approach was simply not adequate. So, what is important in anthropological research is that whenever you are doing some project or some research, population unit of study is your population, not individual. And unit of when study is population, you have to define it properly. Okay, just mere and racial explanation will be not means not fulfill the but proper means putting things in the right you can say anthropological space, because that is the beauty of anthropological research, that you have to define the population properly. So one of them is this non-existence of the concept of race. Similarly, Montagu 1960 insisted race was an ambiguous, over used and very loaded term that should be dropped from the scientific literature, since it continues to mix biology, culture, intelligence, personality notions. Because people have started working on this in Europe, intelligence quotient, intelligence was and race. So as a result of which you will see that it is still going on. So that the hatredness when people from Indian origin, African origin are, you will find in Australia, in Germany, in USA also, you will find they're killing. They are on the basis of their skin color. So that is different, and this is different. But still, then people do think that actually these are the people less intelligent. They involved in crime. Okay, the people of black origin. So, in spite of so many revolts, including Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, and so many people who work hard, so the distribution of individual trade and the selective pressure modified them should be focused. Thus, Klein replaced race as a unit of study from many of the anthropological studies during 1960. These are all impediment that Nazi Holocaust and Nazi trials, Nazi, you can say, means say, uh, these happened in Germany. Okay, so cause of biological diversity, as I have told you that uh, race is a biological consequence, and practically as such explain practically nothing. The quality unit of evolution is the population, where all forces of biological diversity such as mutation, natural selection, genetic hybridization operates. Okay, so in spite of the elimination of a large number of mutant alleles, a considerable number of selected uh, for by natural selection and over time become established in a population with an appreciable frequency that is less than 1%, leading to continuous of genetic polymorphism. So polytypic human population are defined as polytypic, and you can say that it is polymorphic. Okay, so there are also drift phenomena, similar drift phenomena. You will find that smaller the population, greater the fluctuation in gene. Okay. Similarly, epidemics, wars, natural calamities, uh, unfavorable climate, nutrition, and morbidity condition may cause this population to be drastically reduced in numbers. So, smaller the numbers, greater the fluctuation. Larger the numbers. So, this is also known as Sewell Wright effects, or so sampling error. So these are the some of the you can say concept of race, how it is grew in the uh, 18th century, 19th century, 20th century, and in 21st century. So here in your text, little has been covered as far as 21st century development is concerned. But you can try to, in the post-genomic era, things are quite different. There is no biological basis of mankind, but still then, whatever exercise made, we are utilizing it for various purposes. Okay. Similarly, when we talk about in block unit 2, distribution and characteristics of means races, you will find that the broad races are Caucasoid, Mongoloid, Negroid, and Australoid or archaic Caucasoids. Okay, these four broad categories. So you have to understand what is the characteristics of Caucasoid or Europeans, what is the characteristics and the distribution of Mongoloids, what is the characteristics of Negroid, and finally the Australoids. Okay, Uh, when you speak about age, I have told you that actually race a distinct combination of physical trait is due to inheritance. Okay, this is based on heritable traits. So Caucasoid are classified into Mediterranean. Again, Mediterraneans were classified into classical Mediterraneans. Okay, basic Mediterranean, and also you will find that Atlanto Mediterranean or littorals. Indo-Afghan, in Irano-Afghan types. Then you have Nordics. Okay, Nordics. What is Hitler believe actually? Nordics are said to be originally Aryans, the people of Scandinavia who represent Nordic race type and distributed in Scandinavia. Alpines, the origin of Alpine traced to Central Asia. So this is the early Blatic. So dynamic Armenoids. These are the groups within the group of you can say uh, Caucasoids, Indo-Dravidians, okay, Polynesians. So you will find that actually broadly these races, within races you will find there are sub types. Uh, that's why similarly among the Mongoloids you will find classical Mongoloids or central Mongoloids. They are primarily distributed in the Siberia and Amur River distinct and sporadically in northern China, Mongolia, and Tibet. Okay. Similarly, Arctic or Eskimos, they are different from the central Mongoloids. These are found in North Asia, the Arctic coast of North America, Greenland, Lapra, and Western Alaska. Okay. Indonesia, Malaya, Mongoloid, they are classified Malaya type, Indonesia type. Okay. The then American Indians or Amerindians, they are Mongoloids despite the presence of racial element like Caucasoid, Australoid, and Negroid types. So Paleo Armenoids, Northern Armenoids, uh, Neo Armenids. Okay. So similarly, Negroids are mainly divided into two types: African Negros and Oceanic Negros. So Elotricus African, Eotricus, Hymotricus. Okay, this is on the hairs type. The frilly, fizzly and let's see, uh, clip hairs type, fizzly hair, woolly hairs. Okay, so and dark skin color, African Negros, air again, and the true Negros, Nilotic Negros or Nilotes, Bantu speaking Negros, Bushmans, and Negrilos. Okay, similarly, Oceanic Negros mainly in New Guinea, neighboring islands. Okay, Pygmies, Seamans, so Papuans, Melanesians, they are small islands and they are having very unique features. And final is your Australoid or Arctic Caucasoids and some primitive features similar to Caucasoids. So they are included in subdivision of Caucasoid. Earlier broadly three divisions, but in some books they are classified into four types. In and the Australoids and Bedoids, Bedas of Sri Lanka, Australian Aborigines, the Australian that we encounter, we see in cricket team are different than the original inhabitants. They are the Australian Aborigines. The people are an admixture of Arctic Caucasoid type with some Negroid with the certain amount of oceanic influence in them. Pre-Davidian Australoid or Bedoids. These are typical to the indigenous communities like Kons, Orans, Gonds. Okay, so Vedas of Ceylon, Sakai and Sunni, these are the Malaya Peninsula. So you will see that actually broadly these are the four categories: Caucasoid, Mongoloid, Negroid, and Australoid. You can say, and there you will find within these groups you will find that many sub types are there. So uh, it is the different classifications of mankind. Okay, there are major groups. Within the groups you will find many subgroups. Okay, so this is just a broad view. You can say that the classification of mankind on the basis of certain means geographical and the distributions and criteria, how they were classified. Now coming to classification, what are the racial criteria used actually? So you will find that what uh, different means the definition, you can say who we are actually. When as a species, we will do that we are a very polytypic species. Okay, and when you think about our the development, or the, you can say, we are speaking about the anatomically modern human, not ancestors, and our origin and our geographical differentiation. So the biological basis of race and its definitions that we have already discussed, and also you will have to have some light. But what are the criteria used? First is that is the external criteria, that is skin color. Then you will find that hair colors, somatoscopy, somatometry. Somatoscopy means these are observable traits. These are some external observable traits like skin color, hair, eye, nose, its shape, size, color. Okay, very where it is applicable, you will go for color of the iris, color of the hair. Okay, then eye, whether it is epicanthian fold is there or not, nose shape, size, lips, face, head, you can measure it, ear, body build. Okay, and finally one is somatoscopy, somatometry. Then you will find that serology, that is the blood groups. Okay, these are the criteria primarily utilized for studying or means human typology or their distributions. Okay, we have already discussed that it begins with Linnaeus in 1735, Buffon in 49, Blumenbach 81. So Linnaeus deals with the classification of human diversity by using subspecies which he called as human varieties. Okay, Blumenbach actually had a passion for natural science and included anatomy and the variation of the human races. So similarly, the our understanding about the human typology over grew over the years. The most important that human are a polytypic species. Monotypic species is a type of species with its members belong to a single subspecies displaying at least one of the following properties, like all members of the species are similar, cannot be subdivided biologically into distinct subcategories. So it is monotype. Humans are polytypic. Okay, these are you will find that they are different. Polytypics are species, two or more subspecies. These are separate population that are more genetically different from one another, reproductively isolated. Gene flow between the populations is much reduced, leading to genetic differentiation. So thus it is assumed that humans are not a monotypic species but are because the third means that is that it is a hybridization due to human migration. That is the typical future. So there it is classified as polytypic species. And origin of modern humans, as I have told you, that roughly 2 lakhs years ago we left Africa and migrated to northwards and of a continent in 50 to 1 lakh years ago. So it passes through Asian corridor, went to Europe. Okay, so this is the you will find that the whole journey of anatomically modern humans. Okay, please do not confuse it with the Homo neanderthalensis or Homo erectus. We are speaking about the present human beings, how they were evolved in eastern part of Africa and migrated to the different continents. Okay, so I, uh, what are the causes of this speciation and race formations? Are the you will find that are the micro evolutionary process like mutation, recombination, natural selection, genetic deep gene flow, non-random mating. So random mating and non-random mating, these are, you will have to find that these are the main criteria that give rise to these varieties of human populations. So mutation are the heritable change in genetic character, recombination that happens in the genetic recombination, exchange of genetic material between sister chromatids. Natural selection means favorable heritable variations that survive and provide individual higher reproductive rate than others. So it may be positive, negative, or maybe stabilizing selection. So when its selection is positive, it will favor a particular trait that will be multiply faster. Genetic drift, I have already told you that there is a statistical error or genetic drift or civil rights effect. You can say smaller the population, greater the fluctuation; larger the population, lesser the fluctuation. So if the population is infinitely large, then you will find that there is a less you can say fluctuation as far as the frequency of gene is concerned. It is developed by civil right. Isolation, Wagner's concept of isolation, you can say reproductive isolation is in which members of a population become separate from another population by geographical or cultural barriers that prevent the interchange of genes between these separate populations. That happen cultural means in language, community, social factors. Okay, often distinguish one, separate one population from another. Geographical barriers also, so it makes that they have to breed among themselves. Non-random mating, this occurs when mating individuals are genetically related to one another or phenotypically more or less similar to each other than two individuals chosen at random. Okay. Genetic admixture or gene flow. When movement of population, if the European came to India from Portuguese, from Dutch, Spain, France, they mixed with the local man and woman. Okay, their progeny is still there in Calcutta, in Pondicherry, in Goa. Very very you find that you will find they mix with the local populations. Okay, that happened even prior to that. There are many people from Turk, Afghan, and different various waves of migration. So it is very difficult. So the to actually when we are studying the biological diversities, so race has probably been drawn from the Arabic word yeah, meaning that head or beginning, and was first used by French scholar F. Banyard. The term race is currently in current biology have several meanings. In 19th century, before the word race was often used in biology as a synonymous for a division below the level of species. So taxonomically, how the we have utilized the concept, and the term race denotes a subspecies consist of more or less distinct population with anatomical traits that distinguishes it clearly from other races. Sewell Wright 1978 suggested that human population that have been inhabited separate part of the world should be considered as a different subspecies. So this species and subspecies between groups actually it continues. Okay. So similarly, when you talk about, we have already discussed on the definitions given by Houghton in 1926, Boyd in 1950s, Gran in 1960s, Mayers in 1969, Davigenis in 1970s, and Vogel and McCluskey, one of the frontline genesis, defines race as large population of individuals who have a significant fraction of gene in common and can be distinguished from other races by their common gene pool. So these are all genetic interpretation from external or morphological interpretation to metric, then serological, then genetical, then finally, entire 20th century is deeply rooted, uh, looking from Mendelian and evolutionary or Darwinian line. So now coming to that, what are the morphological characteristics or that were used earlier by this color? First is that your skin color. Though we have actually identified the genes right now, so the on the basis of skin color, the peoples were classified in leucoderms, xanthoderms, and melanoderms. Leucoderms means the Europeans, white-skinned people. Xanthoderms means they exhibit a range of means yellow-skinned people, and melanoderms means black-skinned people, the Negroes. Similarly, characteristics of hair on the basis of hair, people were classified. Hair structure, hair forms like Leotrichus, Cymotrichus, or Altotrichus. Leotrichus, they are further defined in three types: stretched hair, smooth hair, and flat hairs. Cymotrichus are broad wavy, narrow wavy, and curly. These are the you can think about the head hair of your own. But the most important is that very unique to the Negroid population is that Pilotrachus or woolly hairs. Okay, they are again classified into frizzly type, loosely frizzly type, thick frizzly type, and a proper corn or flip type. Okay, spiral type. So these are very unique. It will be best understood when you will see the classification of hair on the basis of your means that chart. Okay, hair quantity. That the body means how it is distributed in the body hair quantity. Okay, hair limits, hair slopes, hair folds. Okay, similarly eye, you can think about eye color. Okay, it also having variations. Eye, particularly the color part of the eye is the iris, which surrounds the pupil of the eye and contain muscles, which means dilates and contracts the pupil. Okay, you will find that different type of green eye, true green eyes, or brownish eye. Okay, black. So eye opening. Okay, slant and the height of the eye opening. The most important that epicanthian fold is very typical to mongoloid population. Internal epicanthic fold and external epicanthic fold, median fold, complete mongoloid fold. So absence of this fold. These are the three eye folds on the basis of the criteria these are external criteria that is utilized. Then morphological characteristics of nose, that is a nasal depression, nasal bridge, nasal tips, nasal septum, and disposition of the nares. Okay, and nasal index is that is the nasal breadth divided by nasal uh, length. So multiplied by 100. So we'll get leptorhine, majorhine, platyrhine, and hyperplatyrhine. Leptorhine means less than 70. The index range will be 70 to 84.9, 85 to 99.9, 100 and above. So similarly, one is observable characteristic, another is metric characteristics. So morphological characteristics of leaves is also very peculiar. So morphological characteristics of face, facial forms, like you will find at facial index, morphological facial height divided by bizygomatic breadth multiplied 100. So you have to understand the landmarks, zygon to zygon, bizygomatic breadth, and what is the morphological facial height. You have to take the measurements. Okay, so accordingly, whatever value you will get, that can be classified as a hyper uh, Europoroscopic, that is a very broad face, Europoroscopic, that is broad face, medium, mesoporoscopic, leptosporoscopic, hyperporoscopic. Prognathism or protruding jaw is a very typical when the lower and upper jaw that mix together come outward projection, that is known as a prognathism, and the other one is orthogonalism. Prognathism is very much common in the Negroid population. Similarly, the morphological characteristics of head, then head is classified on the basis of cephalic index, head breadth by divided head length multiplied by 100. They are dolichocephalic, mesocephalic, and brachiocephalic. And dry skull and living head means these are the indexes. There is a variation in living, a higher value than the or the cranium. So morphological characteristics of ear, morphological characteristics of body build, okay, ectomorph, mesomorph, endomorphs, okay, different type of on the basis of stature. Now coming to the other is that ABO blood typing. So you will see the distribution of RH positive, RH negative. You will find that the D type. Then you will find most people in it, the percentage very high in RH negative, very high in the European population when you compare to African population. Similarly, the genes O for O and A are widespread among all group of population on the globe, while B is the bleed blood type is that rarest allele. 16% of humanity has B allele, and about 12%, 21% have A and O blood type. So this gives us a RS type and AB blood type. So you can see the MN, also MN group is another type, Duffy, and so there are various types of blood group system are identified. Roughly, I think actually more than 40, I think. So identified. So and their population-wise distribution, Caucasoid, Negroid, Asians, Americans, they are not same. They are different. It means that they are having different evolution reports that favor a particular blood type and growth group and not. Similarly, phenylthiamine test, and also you will find that ear wax, whether it is a uh, sticky or hard. So it varies also from race to race. It is a phenylthiamine, whether they are tester or non-tester. So you will find that Australian Aborigine is 50 to 70% non-testers. Highest among is the Mongoloid, 80 to 100%. Negroid are having 90 to 97. Similarly, amino acids excretion in urine also have very with races. Dermatoglyphics or skin prints, you will find that we are having fingerprints for patterns, arch, loose, holes, broadly three, and other is compositive. And you will find that the loops is the most common form that is found irrespective of the population, but their percentage is very, you can say, the arcs is very low among the Australian Aborigines, Micronesians, Mongoloids. Okay, their percentage is very high, and the Bushmans and Negroes when you compare with the other populations. Okay, holes are very high also in some population like Mongolian, Mongoloid derived populations. So these are the some of the you can say that how the metric and non-metric criteria were used for racial classification, and this particular block that is a dedicated for it will enhance your understanding. One is a serology, another is a metric like a nasal index, cephalic index, okay, facial index, breadth divided by length, right, in multiplied by 100. Whatever really you will find that there is a variation with respect to blood typing. Also will find there is a variation with respect to populations. Now coming to your unit 4, that is racial classification. you have to understand what are the controversies that is related to race. We have to comprehend the concept of race and race formation. We have already used it at many times that what are the factor responsible for the formation of race. We have discussed, and also basis of and appreciate the racial classroom with the comparison to physical features of major races of the world. Okay, so you can able to understand that various races from Houghton to Ernest Mayer, Davizinski, Montagu, and also you will find at the Templeton in 1998 that uh, you will find that particularly used for physically distinct group of people. Okay, it is nothing to do with the culture, society, and the different. But the controversy is that the race is applied in a variety of ways. Various aggressive actions, forms, fight, first fight to large-scale riots and countrywide side civil wars have stemmed from the tension and misunderstanding about the various races. That has not stopped. Even today, also you will find that. So race science was never just a human classification. It presupposed to be a distinctive relation between nature and culture by understanding the differences in nature and to generate different kinds of persons and a distinct stage of culture and civilization that inhabits the world. So racism is a major problem, and Aryan race was supposed to be the group of blonde head, blue eyed, white skin. So there are different type of perception between these recent groups with respect to any different human populations, and you will find that different human groups. So racial stereotype are largely because the skin color can be recognized and used to classify people and to attribute certain biological factors to all members of supposed race. So, in classifying human race, most of the anthropologists do not consider the mental characteristics that was developed by in behavioral science. So, so mental scientists means they classify people on the basis of intelligent quotient. So that is a quotient developed because of means that mental age divided by chronological age, and then justify that the black are lesser intelligent than the whites. That exercise is also made, and brain structure, brain shape, size, skull structure. Okay, so particularly this race is used to justify their exploitation of others. So you know about the slave trades and the dominant, how the white people they colonize the world, and how they place this means, black people. And you know that Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, and also recently Barack Obama, and also so you will find that entire you can say one way is that the concept of race, the biological division of mankind. Other way, the issues and challenges that the exercise made in Europe in order to justify that whites are superior than the other. In as far as the biological basis of race, no race is superior, no race is inferior. And so, what are the factors primarily that is means that leads to the formation of race? First is your mutation, genetic mutation, and it is just a sudden change in gene resulting in hereditary variation. Second is the natural selection, as I have told that is a differential fertility or reproductive differential. You can say an important factor for operating to the pattern and maintain intra and interspecific variations which applied at the genetic level to the allele operating in the individual. So it will favor and it will be not favor, or it will remain stagnant. So natural selection means it is a difference in fertilities generation after generation. If it is more favoring, then it will more fertility, then that population will grow faster. Similarly, chance fluctuation or genetic drift. Gene frequency may lead to appreciable genetic difference between complete isolated subpopulations. So you will find smaller the population, greater the fluctuation or genetic drift or civil rights effects. You can say sampling error. So smaller the population, so larger the population means the population is more stable. So you will find that migration also an important role that gene flow. It helps in isolation, hybridization, mixing of different population with the migrants. So I have, if you go on opening, the people from China came to India. Indian people went to different part of the world now, and they have actually still you will find that in Caribbean islands you will find, and in the very you will find it in Fiji. Where you will find Indians in Africa. So it happened. You last 400-500 years history, you will find that how migration has shaped. Sivaran Chandrapal, by name it implies that the means a mixture of these populations. And similarly, isolation, we can say that the people living in Andaman Islands, particularly Joroa, Sentinel, Sompens. Okay, so geographical isolations are considered one of the greater race makers. Similarly, social isolations also play an important role as far as human mating restriction is concerned. Similarly, hybridization is a process by which genes of a species were introduced into a population, resulting in a genetic combination which are entirely new. Okay, so they are neither belongs to India nor belongs to African Americans or Chinese Americans. So mixture of African origin and Mongoloid admixtures. So Caucasoid Negroid admixtures. Okay. Similarly, sexual selection is a process of selecting mates on the basis of some preferred qualities. As a result of which sexually preferred, they would become the dominant variety of the individual. For example, in a population where blue eye color, red hair color are preferred to brown color, then brown colored individual would be. These are beyond your geography, your preference. Tall will prefer to marry talls, and everybody means it's a blue eye, red hair. So these are some of the similarly social selection also is a very important driving force as far as categorization. So the people actually breeding is regulated by artificially instituted barriers between socially approved individuals and group within a population, so that mating can occur between individuals preferred by such social standards rather than at random. So rich, poor, class, caste. So all this also makes this is one of the force as far as the group formation is concerned within human as a species. So mutation, selection, genetic migration, isolation, hybridization, sexual, social selection are the main processes responsible for the formation of racial strains. So I have already told you that there are bases of racial classification. There are phenotypic or physical characteristics. So and also you'll find that skin color is one of them. We have already discussed that Caucasoids are lycodons, Mongoloids are xanthodons, and Negroes are melanodoms. Eye also you will find that eye opening, eye fold, hairstyle, hair texture, hair distortion, nose shape, size, nasal depression, nasal bridge, nasal tips. These are the racial criterias, and on the basis of stature, height, you can say that pygmies are short statures, and they are very from up to two maximum to 129.0, very tall 70 to 179.9 centimeter, 200 giant. So giant, very tall, and short means 152, 159.9, medium 162, 63 points. So when you will say that these are the some of the metric measurements in the head forms also on the basis of cephalic index, oligocephalic, mesocephalic, brachiocephalic. Nose we have already discussed, and face forms are also we have discussed. So genetic, blood group, demographics, hemoglobin variants also with respect to population, glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase. So you will find that means abnormal hemoglobins like sickle cell anemia. You will find African and Asian population, not in European population. So certain normal and abnormal hemoglobins you will find are very much in certain. That also shows our evolutionary journey. So we left Africa and entered into Asia. So ability to test phenylthiamide, and also finally the DNA. So proper evaluation of racial classification can be possible with the help of DNA fingerprinting. So change, or you can say variation with respect to polymorphism or polytypic and polymorphic traits, and that variation happen at the DNA level. Now coming to racial classification, so you'll find that the classification we have already covered, but if you see, go on inquiring, so Varna system in India, and also in 2200 BC, China distinguished mankind into 5 groups on the basis of skin color, and Egyptians into 4 racial types. So all major races. It is not like that European have these viewpoints. So we have Chaturvarna doctrine in Indian society. We have a caste system in Indian society. So though there is no concept of biology, but they whatever they observed, what they come in context. So then finally systematic study by system and nature lineage women back. Okay, so you have a Denneker's classifications, proposed a classification and identified mankind into 20 one race depending on hair forms and choose nose forms and skin color as secondary traits. Okay, so I advise you to go through this, and but for this you have to read the charts. This means the metric and non-metric criteria. Similarly, Hutton's 1931 American anthropologist has suggested a four-fold classification of comparative race: white, negroid, mongoloid, and comparative race, and crossbreeding among the primary races. There is a composite race is the product of primary races. So white means European, Euro-African, Caucasoids. So Negroid, African Negro, Nilotic Negros, and Negritos, like the Pygmies. Mongoloids, these are the classical and Arctic Negroid, like Eskimos. Okay, but when you talk about the composites, they are predominantly white, predominantly Mongoloid, predominantly Negroid. So here classified another introduced and Kuhn-Grant and Bressel's classification. I think that that is the final this racial science the science classification. They set up six putative stocks, and they realized that the existence of other three major races, Negro, Caucasus, and Mongoliid, is proposed by most of the anthropologists. Okay, they preferred to add the Australoid as a separate group and felt that American, Indian, and Polynesian should must be there. Okay, so similarly, Ottenbach's classification, he actually based on blood type, ABO blood type system, and Wiener's classification used that RH blood type, MN type blood type. Boyd's classifications like he classified, modified Wiener's classification, proposed six groups like European, African, Asians, Americans, okay, Pacific and Australoids. Osley Montagu classification in 1951. Osley Montagu proposed a classification which was accepted by many anthropologists. He used skin color, hair forms, and head forms. He classified mankind into three main groups: Negroid, Mongoloid, and Caucasoid. And the criteria used, you can say Caucasoid, Mongoloid, Negroid. Skin color, you see that light reddish white color in case of Caucasoid, brownish color, and you will find in case of black color in case of Negros, and yellow color in case of Mongoloid. So hair, face, nose, chin, lip, ABO blood typing, you will find relatively high percent of A2 type, relatively high incident of in case of Caucasoid, relatively high incident of A2 type, comparatively high incident of B type in case of Negroid, high incident of A1, and very low incident of A2 in the Mongoloid. So you have A1, A2 type, blood type, B type, and O type. So similarly, RH factor, you will find highest frequency of RH negative found in the Caucasoid population, moderately very frequency of RH negative. RH negative is very rare in Mongoloid populations. Similarly, dermatographics will find that is a pattern intensity index is very low in case of Caucasoid, and it is more high among the uh, Great Depression ranging from higher to lower, but it is high among the Mongoloid population. And the mainline formula, pattern intensity index, all these things you have to understand when you will go through the dermatoglyphics or skin prints, palm prints. Okay, so arcs, loops, holes, these are the patterns. Similarly, mainline formula. So the pattern in case of Caucasoid is 1197, whereas 755 in case of Negroid and 975 in case of Mongolian. And mainline, you will find that marked transparently try ready two of D line terminating quite frequent in case of Caucasoid, longitudinal alignment in case of Negroid, and longitudinal alignment in case of the Mongoloid population. Now you have to see one of the most important aspect is that the UNESCO statement on racial classification. Okay, so particularly the definition related to race strike a note of discord, and there is no opinion expressed in them. Expressing this difficulty, UNESCO organized a conference of all prominent, eminent anthropologists, sociologists, and psychologists in order to determine a single concept of race. You have seen that how historically this concept of race has begun, and the concept has its existence gradually came, and how it has been viewed by Europeans, and how it has got its momentum with the help of Darwinism and genetics and in 20th century. So, but UNESCO has to intervene to give a standard definition of race. Okay, so we all belongs to race, but national, religious, geographical, cultural, linguistic group are entirely unconnected with the and related to race. But unfortunately, racism, when you look, these are all linked with this. So the country of your origin, that skin color, all these things link with your means uh, every your behavior and everything. So that is the major issues. Okay, so human race can be classified, but the classifications are based only on physical traits. They have no relation of any kind with mental or intellectual superiority or inferiority. Some races may claim of purity, but that is not true. Today, pure race cannot be found. No race is pure. So everywhere. So the gist of findings of all the scientific is that intravariation is more than value intervariation, and the inner capacity for development of mind and culture is found equally in every race. Hence, distinction between races cannot be based on cultural difference and level of intelligence. Okay, if there are people that all invention by white, means it is blacks are less intelligent, Mongols are less intelligent than the blacks. So that type of exercise is also there in the 19th century and the 18th century when they started the scientific racism. It is possible that in one nation the degree of racial difference may be greater, while in another is lesser degrees. So evidence in support of the fact that the race has no important effect in social and cultural difference between various human groups has been found in historical and sociological studies. By no stretch of imagination can one conceive of any relation between changes in racial forms and social changes. Okay, so the form of biological viewpoint mixing up races in deleterious is an essentially incorrect and invalid belief. In this way, the race is a group of intermarrying individuals born to common ancestral that possess similar physical traits, and if we feeling. Inbreeding renders permanent the physical characteristics of the race, and due to them, one race can be distinct from another. One major causes of inbreeding is geographical isolation. Besides geographical isolation, race originate due to mutation, migration, selection, and adaptation. So there are, when you read the study of a human, the anatomically modern humans, they means is the original stock from Africa passes to Asian corridor, and the research is very recent. Europe is very recently occupied. Thus was not the understanding in the even in the uh, uh, beginning of the 20th century. So 20, with the help of this Human Genome Project, the whole notion of the European, those who are thought that they are actually superior than the other races, that has been completely rejected with the arrival of this concept of genomics. So I think with this we have covered what is race, concept of race, racial criteria, racial classification, world population. So you can have also those who are having specific interest on this. You can also think about that the races of Indian population racial classifications. Okay. So my class is now open for discussion, and those who are interested to have an interaction or any doubt, you can pose any question to me, so that because in the counseling session we can have a discussion. If you are facing any difficulties, because these are terms which are you are unfamiliar, but it is very interesting. If you go reading line by line, then you will find very interesting phenomena. We often differentiate, distinguish others, and our selection, biological selection, social selection is very interesting, very unique to human population, and how it makes us different groups. Sometimes we will give priority to skin color, sometimes we will give priority to your social position, religious beliefs. So these are in total you can say cultural segregation. It has nothing to do with biology, and biological classification also has a very limited space as far as uh, our human typology is concerned. So now it is open for discussion. If you have any query or question, you can ask me.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, you have said that Asians are more anemic than Europeans. Sir, is there any reason behind this?
Look at the prosperity you are observing right now among the Europeans. I think that actually Europe as a whole, the unification of Europe started in the 17th century. Think about France, think about Germany, think about Germany come very late. Okay, Great Britain, all these things. They are small kingdoms. They do have actually they passes through very you can say tough situation in their journey. Okay, whatever we observe today, a prosperous Europe. That was not the history. Okay, if you go on exploring these, they do have also anemic. Right now, when you look at Asian population, Asia is look at the share of a global population. When you integrate both India and China, Bangladesh and other countries, you will find that actually a significant proportion of populations are living in, when you think about human all over the world in total, then you will find that maximum people living in this part of the world, and most of them are living in rural areas. And China is now prospering, so you will find that China's economy, health, and everything is improving. India is also moving in the same direction. At the same time, when you think about Afghanistan and others, so Pakistan, so you will find they're lagging far behind. So you can say that anemia is a criteria. Then you take look at from an evolutionary perspective, it will have ups and downs actually. Okay, it is not like that when you think criteria like ABO blood typing. Okay, in so that is the way you can see that why we are suffering from mostly from diabetics today. Okay, that was not a disease of a rich, that is only a disease of rich people. If you go on exploring the concept of a definition of a diabetics, it is a primarily disease of rich people, those who are in sedentary life, those who are, it come primarily in the later on stage of your life. Okay, so, but now you will find that juvenile diabetes, India is becoming the diabetic capital. So it is happening because of our food habits, economic, political stability, so many factors that defines on the such kind of factors. Okay, are you getting whatever I have spoken to you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because there is a, you can read also, type in the internet Darwinian medicine. Okay, that will give you some idea. And that's why Indians were means Asians were, there is a threat to gene. Okay, Indians, I mean Asians could not get food for a long time. That's why you will find that after 30 40 years, most of the men and women, we accumulate huge fats in our abdomen. So abdominal obesity is a big crisis for us today. So if you want to see anemia and it's associated with your evolutionary past, and very recently what has happened or happening, you just see how the means Europeans, they came and entered and they conquered the entire Europe, entire world actually, and the Asia, how they have exploited. Okay, so whatever we are experiencing after independence is very recently, we can, you can say, have some sense of you can say freedom. So accordingly you will find that our anemia status uh, and is bearing our growth and development. Okay, that you can study from the secular trend. So obesity is a problem that we are encountering, but that has been already experienced by Europeans. Okay, if you think reverse way, okay, obesity was not a problem issue in Europe. Anemia is a problem in Asia, but it is not a problem in Europe. But you can change it. Obesity is a big problem in most of the developed countries when you compare with the developing countries. But now equally it is, as our economy is increasing, we are also encountering with the obesity problem. It is early onset of obesity is a big problem, but the way they are encountered, we have not yet encountered, but still then their number proportion, it is increasing very rapidly. Got some idea?
Yes, sir. Sir, another question. Are
Yeah.
uh, obesity or anemic are genetically inherited? Can be they are
Both
genetically.
actually. Look at, there are characters, you will find that there are sometimes a baby bonds to a parent which are very lean and thin. Okay, there are instances in India also a very heavy weight. Okay, obesity is genetical. Obesity is also, you will find it a behavioral disorder. Okay, and a genetic predisposition sometimes leads to obesity, but most of the obesity that we are experiencing today is because of our lifestyle and food habits. Okay, you will find that nutritional transitions, nutrition in hunting gathering society, nutritional in among the agricultural society and industrial society are quite different. Even today, those who are living, you can think about the population living in isolated pockets in hunter gatherer like the Jorwas, the Sentinelese in Andaman Island. There are articles you can see what is their body fat. You will find very less. Okay. Now coming to agriculture, you will find also little higher than the hunter gatherers. But the industrial society, you will find that it is highly obese. Most of the fats are deposited in different sites. You can say. Um, Abdomen is one of the best example. We called it the best hip ratio, conicity index. Okay, and body shape size. Okay, so whenever trait you are considering, you have to understand whether it is genetical or purely environmental, or both combination of these genetical and partly genetical, partly environmental. Unfortunately, today in the era of industrialization and globalization, we are experiencing those means disorders or traits which are partly genetical and partly multifactorial. You can say multifactorial disorders, be it cancer. Cancer can come through parents to offsprings. Cancer can also onset in the offsprings that was not have been reported, or you will not having hereditary. Diabetes can be hereditary. Diabetes cannot be also hereditary. Hypertension also can be hereditary. Also, you will not find that that is the first time you will onset in that particular family or in person. No history or nobody has ever recorded any instances or evidence relating to any disease or death related to hypertension. So you will find that, unfortunately, apart from this pandemic, that the communicable disorder, we are now experiencing, the entire globe is experiencing in a very tough time, tsunami of these non-communicable disorders, which are multifactorial in nature. Okay, if you want to understand that, then you have to understand the evolutionary medicine. Okay, or Darwinian, otherwise known as Darwinian medicine. So it is very interesting. Okay, have you got some? If you have any idea?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir,
So
thank
many
you,
studies
sir.
are required to study because we are taking chicken. So we are ultimately taking
Mhm.
antibiotics. Okay. We are genetically modified the crops and vegetables. And we, in anticipation that these are cheap and these are beautiful, these are tasty, everything is good. But what in long run, what is the bearing of those in our physiology? So you will find that there are some genetically modified fruits might have some contribution that we have
Yes, sir.
need to study very rigorously. Any clarification you need?
No, sir. Thank you, sir.
So I invite other, those who are in online, if who need any type of information on anything, because these are placed in a very nutshell. Okay, I will suggest you even online resource materials are there. E-Page Pathshala, you can refer, cross refer this, so that it will strengthen your understanding. Okay. Blood type, we are normally understood that only a BO type. You have RH type, you have MN type, you have a Kale, Duffy, Diego, so many types. All blood types. Okay, this is very population specific. Similarly, sickle cell hemoglobin, abnormal hemoglobins are found only African and Asians. So you will find that it implies that the Africans, we have, it is one of the evidences. It's not that alone evidence. Many evidences are there with respect to language, with respect to gene, normal, abnormal genes. It's migration from Africa, and why you will say that the Europeans are very recently it is occupied by humans. So these are some of the informations you can integrate with our understanding, beliefs. Uh, so this particular chapter block will give you some understanding. That is the way anthropology want to contribute the society. That is, it will reduce the human differences. No two human being is different. They are all, we are all belong to the same species. We are all alike. Be it an Eskimo, be it an Indian, be it an African, we all belong to the same species. And the difference that we notice is 0.01%. Okay, and that makes because of environment, because of the way we burn and put off many factors. Okay, so I think that if you have any query, then you can we will proceed, or else we can stop it here. Yes, please.
Hello, sir.
Yes,
Sir,
Mahpat.
practical one work in physical anthropology, sir.
Can you repeat once again?
What is practical in physical anthropology, sir? We have that in our syllabus, sir.
Your last unit is devoted to practical. Look at it. Today. I have used that ABO blood typing, PTC, phenyl thiocarbamide. Okay, I think that these are the practicals. How to study the ABO blood typing. Okay, with respect to population. What you get out of that, you will find that in a population, whenever I have narrated you that this RH type negative is very common in European population, less in Negroid population, almost nil in the Mongoloid population. Now you choose a population, you just draw the bloods. Means test the blood typing of that particular population, be ABO type or RH type. Find out the frequency of distribution. You will find very interesting. B type is very less, but you will find among the tribes in Odisha, you will find B type is very common. So that is one experiment. Similarly, when you talk about cephalic index, nasal index, these are all one experiment on craniometry. Okay. Similarly, you will find that various type of you can say phenyl thiochromate test. Okay, PTC test you have come across in your literature. So these are the experiments, very simple experiments. You will have to know the aim of the experiment and what are the chemicals required or apparatus required, procedure, then your findings. Okay, some of the experiment you can do at your own level, or some of the experiment you need some laboratory work. Okay, you cannot prick someone's finger. Just you will have a needle, it will bring injury that individual. And here you are going to study the entire population, means you should have an expert that it will have a less pain, and you will get a healthy blood drop, and you can get the experiment. Doctor normally means uh, means particularly collect bloods, or pathologist collect blood from the disease persons, means they want to examine the cause of disease, but here you are going to handle the normal persons, so you need to have expertise and training, be it blood pressure, be it lungs volume, be it your, so some of the very fundamental experiments were given at the. So I will try to means deliver whatever that is available with me, or else you can I will suggest you some sites if possible. Okay, have you gone through that, Mahapatra?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Have you gone through that? Means what are the practicals that is prescribed for you?
No, sir. I have not gone through that, sir.
Your last, I think that block will be on that 8. Okay,
Okay, sir.
so you go through that. If you have any problem issue, you can ask me. If possible, I will narrate you. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Regarding your project, I have not seen anywhere. Okay. Yes. So you can ask.
Sir, so we have to do practical by ourselves, or we have some guide, or we get some guide or not?
I think that actually normally they will attach some institution, because I did once actually for IGNO students long back. Okay. So, but this time you can ask your means center coordinator. Okay, who is looking after this program, which institution or university or department they have identified to pursue. Because unless until you have a hands-on training, you cannot. You have to see the, at least the instruments how it is there actually. Theoretically, it is possible to the way the materials were developed are
Yes,
very very good, but practically at least you have to visit and see these things. Okay, So I think that maybe BJP college where I didn't, I do not know actually. I thought that it is attached with BJP college, but you try to explore that actually from your regional center. Okay, the coordinator who is actually looking after this. Clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So the last unit was is practical in physical technology.
Okay. So what are the topics there?
It's mentioned in Unit 1 osteology and instruments used. The second
Yes.
unit is about craniometry,
Yes.
mandibulometry, somatoscopy, and somatometry.
Okay.
And the third one is physiological variables.
Okay.
And the last one is serology and dermatoglyphics.
Matrix. Okay. So whatever racial criteria you have learned today, okay, let us consider assume that your theory class and practical class go parallel, then you would have been your understanding will be much better. Okay. So osteology and osteometry will give you that craniology, craniometry means you have to measure the human skulls. These are anywhere I am telling you that you have to means cranial breadth divided by cranial length, urine to glabella to opistocranium. What does it mean? For you, it is meaningless actually. I am just speaking because I know it actually. Okay, so you have to
Yes, sir.
understand a
Many
landmark.
parts even
Okay.
I don't understand you said actually.
So I am expecting such kind of questions from you people actually. Okay. So
Actually, I haven't
because
gone through the no topics. That's why I was not asking.
my recommendation for you that read those portions, practical
Yes,
portions,
sir.
for in order to understand this block particularly, fourth block. Okay. So what I have discussed, our understanding. When you will notice first, you imagine that when you will see someone, means what will impression? It is skin color will come to your mind. Your height will be come into mind. You just try to narrate that someone is entered and a burglar or a thief entered yesterday night. Then you will narrate that he is a dark complexion, white teeth and curly hair. All these things. Okay. So there is a science known as physiognomy and a phenology. Okay, so that is very much strongly associated with the humans. Right? Means more, you have perhaps raised this question: external features and metric features. Then Battalion, one Italian or a French scholar, I think, he developed this metric method. And till date, you will find that you have seen that movie that is Sanju Munna by MBBS when this film star was placed in behind the bar, the police will take the measurements of that person. Okay, that is known as mock shoot, forensic anthropology. And so what you will find that when someone will be in the police, then police will have to take various measurements that is prescribed and tested since long time. Its roots are there in racial science. So we'll take different type photographs, you will take different body parts measurement, you will nude it and take the measurements and keep the records of thumb impression. Now everything will be recorded. Then whenever police is giving statement in public, he say that he is not a habitual offender. He is involved in this crime for the first time. Means they are having records, and there is a state fingerprinting bureau. Okay, don't be, it should not be confused with the DNA fingerprinting. That is the latest. Okay, so you have the India is the first country in the world where they are having a central fingerprinting bureau. Where every state is having state. So the dermatoglyphics, fingerprints, palm prints, sole prints, leaf prints. So skin prints has its own science. Okay, you have visible prints, latent prints. So we are putting our thumbs in whenever the non-literate people are asked to sign a document. Even literate people are whenever they are signing a document, they are putting their fingers. Okay, in service records, in various documents. At the same time, when you will see that today we are entering or existing, or in order to have a better management of human resource, we are using, you can say Aadhaar card, or you can say this biometric attendance. They are all this byproduct of, you can say, application of physical anthropology, or the whole exercise made in scientific racism. So my suggestion to all of you is that please blindly go through whether you understood or not this practical experiment. These are all for simple things. This racial criteria that we are actually we learn today are primarily uh, strictly means means it is having a strong linkage with your practical training. Okay, osteometry, osteology, that you have to understand. It is not difficult at all. Okay, any
Yes, sir.
anything you
Yes.
want. You read blindly, you read, you will get the interest. It is not like mathematics that you have to have a derivation and you have not able to understand. Now everything will be virtual, everything will be, so now artificial intelligence will come. Okay, maybe the machine will interact you more. You have a chat GPT. Okay, we put some questions, you will get answers. Okay, so with this we can
Sir,
conclude.
so do we have practical exams also?
Definitely, that will carry. That is the integral part. That carries perhaps equal paper, I think. Okay.
Okay.
Need not to worry about
Yes,
that.
sir. Yes.
Actually, it is not at all difficult that you the way you think. It is interesting. Whatever you will learn in anthropology, that you will have at day to day your utilization. You try to accept in that way, then anthropology is very interesting for you. Okay.
Yes, sir.
You can study abnormals, but it is very difficult to study normals. Okay, in their natural settings. Clear. So they will very
Yes, sir.
reactive. They will you if you want to others, they will also equal at the same time. They will also start learning you also. It is one not never. It will go one way. It will go both the ways. Okay, that's why it is a field-based science. It is not a you have a laboratory without wall. You can understand analyze the blood typing at your laboratory. It's fine, but you have to take you have to collect bloods from others. It is very tough. Now it is ethically many regulations were given. Blood typing and all sort of things are also regulated and controlled unless until there is a requirement approved by the competent ethical board. You will not allow to do all these things. Okay, that part is all there as far as the research on human participant or subject is concerned. Clear? Need not to worry. We are there
Yes.
to help
Yes.
you. Whatever problem you can ask us. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Sir, I
Yes.
have one more
Yes.
question.
Yes, please.
Sir, how to complete project work, sir?
Yes, you perhaps your second time you are asking me what
Yes,
project
sir.
that interests you, when you are going to project, where is your project? It has been prescribed for you.
Actually, they have not assigned any project to us.
No, that will be there actually some space because practical like practical component you will have a under research one project component. Okay, and my
Okay,
suggestion for you will be you choose the topic that interests you. Okay, and
okay,
whenever you are having any topic of your interest, you explore it online. Okay, even though
okay,
you are
sir.
not having library facilities or book, everything is now. I think that you will get if you go on judicious way, explore the online resources, you will get some idea. Someone is working on that. Okay, because it
Okay,
is
sir.
not advisable to do something which is very because a regular supervisor uh, every entire new topic. Okay, so you
Okay,
can
sir.
choose topic relating to your social and behavioral. And someone can also study, make a project by taking age at marriage. Okay, legal age at marriage, or you can say someone can study also drive means if taking numbers, sex ratio. Okay, and people's behavior and cultural practices. Okay, someone can study by taking the some as I have told you that a specific population some project you can say relating to metric or blood pressure related activities or lung function, but for this you need an expertise and you should have handled the blood pressure instruments, and a laboratory will demand a natural setting when you are working, it will demand many situations. Okay, and different type of instruments that is used. Okay, for this you need a laboratory visit and expertise. It is not like that without laboratory work you will not able to submit a project. You can do the project very good ethnographic account. Okay, or you can show also if you are interested in archaeology, then you can also take some sort of you explore one site. Okay, you can visit and study. Things are there. It is only interest that if you are interested in a specific topic, if you ask me, then I will whatever I am having, I can suggest you what to do, what not to do. Okay, because for fulfillment of this degree, if you need a project, you just make a fulfillment of this. If you are highly ambitious, yes, that is advisable, but just complete this assignment, then you can expand it in your future, uh, means for future work or for future research work. Okay.
Okay, sir. Sir, from where we can get any sample of that project, sir?
You research thesis are there in Sodh Ganga. The website is Sodh Ganga. Okay.
Good answer.
Sodh Ganga, UGC has given a website. Okay. You first, prior to that, you can study the research methodology section. Okay. And I think that Professor Patra is a very competent person. Uh, he is having international exposure. Okay, you can also ask some other experts, those who are actually, this is first time we have accepted this assignment because of Dr. Paningrai requested us. Okay, so we can guide you, but first you choose a topic of your own interest. There are plenty of topics are available online. Okay, you can visit Sodh Ganga website. You will find lot of PhD thesis recently submitted and also old versions. Okay, from there you will get some idea what it should be the title of the topic, and what is the content, what is the introduction, what is the objective, what is the methodology used in that particular study, how, what is the area and people, and then the data collection, discussion, then drawing inference or conclusions, and finally the completion of the report writing. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Sir, Sodh Ganga, right, sir?
Sodh Ganga, you just type on right now, you will get it. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Sodh Ganga anthropology will type also, you will find what are the works are made in different part of the entire country. Okay. So theses are there, full examined theses are there. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for your patience hearing and very meaningful interaction. Have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you so much, sir.
So Kenny, do you have any question more?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Till now, no. It's no.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
We conclude here.
Okay, sir. Thank you.